Golfers, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to advocate 3 simple drills that's going to help you eradicate your right elbow woes in the backswing and also the downswing. Here's a simple feeling. When you set up to the golf ball, your right elbow should sit in front of your right hip. So the right elbow should sit in front of your right hip. There's a slight bend in your right arm, so your right elbow sits slightly behind your left elbow. The front of your elbow, so this elbow crease points in front towards the camera or up towards the sky. That allows the forearm to stay in a square position. Many people who struggle with the right elbow position push the elbow away from the hip. They twist the palm of the right hand too much down towards the ground. That does a couple of things. It doesn't allow the right arm to hinge properly, so we kind of get this position where we create too much forearm roll, glove face gets really open, or the right arm gets too retracted away from the body. So it's finding a middle ground. It's like that right elbow instead of the palm facing towards the ground. All you're going to do from there, get your right palm to face the sky. So from there, forearm's really square, so the palm matches the forearm in terms of its squareness. Many people who struggle with the backswing really pull that right elbow behind the right side of the ribcage to start the downswing. We spin that chest open, and as you can see from there, it's going to cause the shoulders to really open quickly and quite aggressively, shaft getting really steep. And if you struggle with pulls and also the ball going straight left and not a lot of control, you need to work on this drill. So as we get to the top of the backswing, the right elbow stays in front of the right hip. Then as we come down, the right elbow then moves in front of the right hip. If you're somebody that struggles with this position, simple drill, hook the back of your left hand around your right elbow. As you want to come back, just try and feel like you apply a little bit of pressure with the back of your left hand on your elbow. Too much forearm roll, the elbow gets really far behind, the left arm gets quite low across the chest. So keep a little bit of a gap between left arm and chest. Just hook your left hand around your right elbow. As you want the club to the top, just maintain that constant pressure. Maintain the constant pressure with your back of your left hand on your right elbow. That's a great feeling, and it's also going to enable you to point the elbow closer to the hip. We don't want to get in a position where we have too much internal rotation. Point the elbow down towards your right hip. That's a great feeling, so maintain that constant pressure. Then as we come down into impact, the elbow is going to stay in front of the hip, then it moves in front of the hip. That's a great feeling that's going to help transform your iron play and also your ball strike. And many people who struggle with the right elbow, take a back, right arm gets too much on top of left arm. So just take your arm, fold your palm to the sky, pull your elbow into your right hip, elbow, pull it in towards your right hip. That's a good feeling. Then as we set up to the golf ball, our right arm stays behind my left arm. Feeling to train your right arm in position, it's almost like you're creating a karate chop. You just take your right arm, twist it to 90 degrees, rotate to the top of the backswing. From there, I've got a significant gap with my right hand away from my right shoulder. Do not let your right elbow get past the right side of your ribcage or the seam line of your jumper. Twist your arm up in front of you, fold the club to the top, right elbow to point right down towards the right hip. Where many people struggle and go wrong is they get the elbow too far behind. Elbow gets closer to left elbow, elbow points towards right hip. Then as we come back down at impact, right arm works in front of right hip, so it moves, doesn't move straight down, it moves in front of right hip. As you can see my impact position from there, right arm keeps its flex for longer, it doesn't straighten, we don't spill all those angles out too early. So right arm stays behind left arm, I create a little bit more right side bend, where my right shoulder's getting close to the ground compared to my left shoulder. And my right arm always stays behind my left arm, where I'm not spinning chest open too quickly. When my right shoulder gets too high, left shoulder gets too low. So really get to the top, right elbow point down towards right hip. Then as we come back down into impact, right elbow still moves in front of right hip, so right elbow points towards right hip, then it moves in front of right hip. A great drill you can use is the cack-handed drill. So put your right hand on the top of the club and left hand on the bottom if you're a right-handed golfer. As you swing the club to the top of the backswing, it's going to automatically maintain my right arm bend a little bit earlier in the backswing. So don't get that right elbow too much behind you. Feeling would be allow the right elbow to point more down towards the right hip. From there, as I come back down into impact, feeling is from here, I'm turning the loft down towards the ground. So the elbow always leads the wrist. Many people who struggle with a ball strike can get the elbow falling back, the wrist goes forward. So really what we're trying to do, think of the relationship between elbow, wrist and fingers. If we get into impact, hand gets to the golf ball first, then the wrist, then the elbow. We want to reverse on its head. You're going to try and get your elbow to move closer to your right hip. You're going to try and get your wrist to move next, then your fingers. So it's, think of the relationship, it's the elbow first, then the wrist, then the fingers. Automatically just to try and get your right elbow to hit your left hand more. That's a great feeling, and it's going to keep a little bit more angle in that right wrist. Don't get that angle too narrow too early, then it has to widen to create space. We're really creating space at the top of the backswing. As we come back in impact, right elbow keeps its connection with the right hip, then it moves in front of the right hip. How does that look? The elbow moves closer to the middle of my chest. From there, I've still got this extension of the right wrist, so right elbow moves closer to the middle of the body. So elbow first, then the wrist, then the fingers, as you can see from there. Don't let the fingers get to the golf ball first, then the wrist, then the elbow. Really simple drill. Place your left hand in front of you, get to the top, let your right elbow come down and hit your left hand first. That's a great feeling. So right elbow first till I hit your left hand, then your wrist, then your fingers. That's a great feeling to instill a little bit more stability within the club face and also allow this right arm to function properly. So don't get right arm too much on top of left arm, then we get that right elbow back to behind your body. Arm flexes, then it extends. That's what creates that maximum power. Elbow still points down towards the edge of my right hip. My hands are as still far away from my head as possible. Great drill. Take a fist with your left hand, place it on your right shoulder blade. Try and keep a bit of constant pressure with your left hand on your right shoulder. So swing the club back. Really feel that right elbow points down towards your right hip. That'll start to feel like the arm folds and hinges a little bit quicker. Still maintain that pressure. Right elbow still maintains the position towards the right hip. Spin that chest open too quickly where right shoulder gets too high. Slow the shoulder down by moving the elbow a little bit more into the middle of your body. So elbow first, then the wrist, then the fingers, then the shoulder. The shoulder moves down a little bit more. Take your right hand, put your left hand behind your right hand. Swing the club to the top. From here, try and get the back of your left hand to point towards the sky and also your right palm to face the sky. That's a great feeling. If you get a little bit too cuppy, where your right palm goes towards the ground and the back of your left wrist goes towards the ground as well. Back of the left wrist to the sky, right palm to the sky. This is our address. Impact, exact same position. We're turning the loft down towards the ground. The back of the left wrist is pointing down towards the ground, right palm towards the ground. That's a great feeling. It's going to allow us to enable us to deal off the club and also create ball turf contact. 4 drills that you can implement within your practice if you struggle with the top of the backswing. And it's also going to enable you to create a little bit more space at the top of the backswing, then that angle narrows in on the downswing. Don't narrow that angle too quickly in the backswing, then you have to widen it, and if you struggle with contact issues, that could be related to the position of the right arm. Fold your right arm to 90 degrees, swing your club to the top. From there, right elbow points towards right hip. Then as we come back down into impact, the right elbow stays connected to the right hip, then it moves ahead of the right hip. That's going to allow us to feed the right arm behind the left arm, and it's also going to allow the right shoulder to work down a little bit more, and also maintain the position of the right wrist coming into impact. Arm is going to go from a flex position, then it starts to straighten a little bit later after impact, as opposed to straightening too early if you struggle with contact issues. So if you've got any thoughts or any questions regarding that issue, please feel free to comment below with anything you're struggling with in your game at this moment in time. And also like the video, subscribe to the channel, just comment below with what you're struggling with within your game at the moment. And also, what's the best tip you've received in 2023? What's been your handicap goals? What did you start the season at and what did you end at? And also what you'd like to see on my channel in future weeks.